Hello, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to talk about Charger Paladin, one of the easier to play and very common choices for first-time bossers in Project Diablo 2. And I'm going to go from scratch. How do you build it? What are the gear options? I prepared a ton of stuff using my SSF account, so while the gear itself is not going to be perfect, it is going to be more representative of stuff that you can find and stuff that should be more budgety in general. So with that said, let's first talk about what is Charge Paladin and how do you build it. So Charge Paladin is a build that revolves around the skill Charge. Charge basically used to be a non-IS based attack. Now it is IS based, which means that it does actually care about your attack speed, but it just basically charges around and attack stuff at the end of it. So it has two synergies, Vigor and Might, and we'll talk about both of them. Technically they're not the same because Vigor has a passive to it when you level it, and Might does not. So there is a priority in what you're leveling. So Vigor over Might. But yeah, that's the skill. That's how it is. Normally, when you're playing a Charge Paladin, you'll be using Fanaticism Aura, not one of your synergies. The reason is Fanaticism really helps with IS breakpoints. So just for that matter, normally when you play Charge Paladin, you'll put enough strength and dex to wear your gear, and the rest will go to vitality because bossing requires a lot of health. So just for the sakes of the video, I will be putting enough to kind of demonstrate all of the gear. So let me just, do something like this. And right now we can wear all of these. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now all of my gear is wearable. So just to kind of demonstrate, I'll go to like over here, just go somewhere safe, just to show. And let's start by putting 20 points into charge, just so we can demonstrate how the skill looks like. Then we'll explain all the synergies. So this is me doing charge, right? You see we're charging around. And at the end, if there's something, we'll hit it, right? Like so. And even with no gear on, we do a lot of damage, which is a good sign. That's a good start. So this is how charge works like, and then the question is, what do you level next? So what are the important skills? So we said we want to use Fanaticism, and just to show kind of like the breakpoints, you can see that right now I'm on 10 FPA, and the maximum breakpoint is 480 attack speed. Now this is obviously not reachable, or if it is reachable by somehow making a setup that reaches that much IAS, I don't think it is, but let's say that it is, it's probably not worth it. You're going to lose a lot in the way. Now let's just show what happens when you put one level into Fanaticism. So I'm going to put Fanaticism as my main aura. And suddenly you see, ooh, wow, it is so much easier to reach your final breakpoint. So again, no Fanaticism, we're at 10 FPA, and we need 480. Fanaticism, we're at 9 FPA already, and we need 168. Now, this number will go down based on your levels in Fanaticism. So if I max Fanaticism, like so, you'll see, ooh, wow, suddenly it's 120. Now this is so easy to reach. This is really not that hard. This number will keep going down based on your soft levels in Fanaticism. I think every 3 levels. So let's say let me put on Amara's. I think I'll go to 117. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, I don't lie. Or maybe I lie sometimes, but not because it's intended. Anyway, this is charge. So charge uses Fanaticism. What other skills do you want? So the other skills you normally want are Holy Sword. What does Holy Sword do? It imbues your 200 weapons, and charge is used. Normally, charge bossers use 200 weapons. I don't think 100 weapons should generally be considered for physical chargers. They're just worse. So we use 200 weapons. So it imbues your 200 weapon, and it basically makes it so you can parry attacks. This is one of your defensive measurements, and it saves you a ton of health in the fights. It keeps you safe. Not only does it do that, it also gives you damage to demons and undead, which is super important, especially the damage to undead part. So This is the skill you max. This is the skill you max. This is the skill you max. Now you have 43 more skill points. At level 97, for example, you'd have less in other trees, and you have 2 synergies, right? So you can max Vigor, right, for example, and you can max Might. And what do you do with the rest of your skill points? So generally speaking, there are 2 options. Either you max Might, and you put the rest of your points in Blessed Aim, right? And this will give you a reduced target defense per level. So this is a really nice thing that you can dump your points into. Or alternatively, you can put points into resist fire, cold, or lightning based on the fights you're going to. And every 2 levels in any of those will give you max resistances to that specific, element. So that's normally what you do with your skill points. In my case, I would max Might normally and dump in Blessed Aim, or get, whatever max resistances that I need. So let's just say that we do this for now. So this is how you allocate your skill points, attributes. We kind of talked about it. You put the rest of your points always in Vitality and try to get as, you want to get as much of it as you can, but generally speaking, you'll have to put some points in here and here. And now, once we talked about skills and attributes, we can finally talk about gear. And I prepared a lot of gear so we can look at a ton of things, but the first thing you want to do is usually choose a weapon. So choosing a weapon is a tough choice. A beginner's weapon is normally something like a sword guard. Sword guards are cheap and easy to get, and if you get 6 of them and you put 6 shells in them, it'll give you the maximum breakpoint. You'll see that it wants, with the aura it should be... Okay, it doesn't say 120. Oh, because I didn't upgrade it. If I upgrade this, it will be better. So Sword Guard is a cheap and a nice starter weapon, but it wouldn't really take you all the way to tier 2s. It's more of like a, I'm doing tier 0, tier 1, and it's okay, it's doing fine kind of weapon. The main weapons people will use are either Grandfathers or Doombringer. These are like the 2 main weapons you'll see people use. And I'll show my weapon in a moment. Now both of these obviously you'd want them to be ethereal if possible, but if not, use non-ethereal versions. Both can do, in theory, like tier 2 bosses, but the ethereal damage that you get, like the bonus damage that you get from ethereal, is massive, and there is no cost to it outside of like your high runes, of course, because they both have self-repair. So really, really important. Now, the 2 major differences between these 2 weapons are, as you can see, if you look at the IAS frames, you need about 120 IAS for a Grandfather's, and you need about 72 IAS for a Doombringer. So a lot easier to hit the max breakpoint with Doombringer. Otherwise, like the minimum damage is better on Doombringer, the maximum damage or like the overall damage is better on Grandfather. You get like a lot of max life from Doombringer, but you get +2 skills from Grandfather, so there's like ups and downs for both of them. I personally think Doombringer is a little bit better than Grandfather's, but they're both solid weapons that you can do tier 2s with. So up to you. The best slams for either of these, for Grandfather it's 6 sockets or EDIAS with 4 sockets. And for Doombringer, you normally want to box these first for 4 sockets, then slam EDIAS or EDDS, EDAR, ED Life Leech. Yeah, you get where I'm going with this. Anything that gives you more damage. So that's generally what you're going for with these 2 weapons. Now let me show you a different weapon. This is a weapon that I was lucky enough to make in my SSF. And this is a crafted weapon. This just kind of shows the potential of crafted weapons. This is like an ethereal base. It's like 307 to 857 damage. This one has twice the IAS, or almost twice the IAS, without any ISCD jewels, and it doubles the damage, or nearly doubles the damage. So you can see that there's a lot of potential in these crafted weapons. I crafted with a brilliant weapon. You can craft with blood weapons, brilliant weapons, hit power weapons. They're all good. Like, generally I recommend the brilliant ones, right? Brilliant crafting, but you can use blood, hit power. They're both okay. So that just kind of shows like the potential of weapons, but that's what we talked about for weapons. Let's move on to the next gear slot, and it is the helmets. So for helmets, Generally speaking, you'll be wanting to make this decision alongside your armor. So you have your defensive armor and your aggressive armor. I really like using G-Bane for everything. I think G-Bane is a fine armor that can be used for all 3 fights. And if you are using G-Bane, let's say you're going to declone or Rathma, declone or Lucian, you'll want something like a V-Gaze or a COA. The reason is they'll be your source of physical damage reduction. That's what I did. I ran V-Gaze both for Lucian and for declone alongside the G-Bane, and I thought it was perfectly fine. If you are going to Rathmon, you use Andariel's Visage. It gives you max poison resist and attack speed, so really smart choice. Makes it really easy to hit this breakpoint. Really easy to just hit that like a high IS requirement. As for V-Gaze, it doesn't give you attack speed, but if you match it with attack speed gloves or High Lords, you'll have enough attack speed normally, so you'll be fine. So yeah, these are like the pairings. So if you go with G-Bane, you'll want physical damage reduction on your helm normally, or you'll want Andes for your helm. And if you go for a shaft stop, that is for declone and Lucian, of course. For Rathma, you always go with G-Bane. So if you go with shaft stop, then you get a lot of health, you get a lot of PDR with it, but you'll want a little bit more aggressive type of helmet. Helms or an Andariel's both work okay for that. They're both like fine. You can use other helmets as well if you want to, but I found these two fine for this setup. So Helms, pretty cheap. You'll want 3 sockets in it. Andariel's very similar, either 3 sockets or like any other good slam. So that's what we want for armors and for helmets. Now let's talk about belts, and I prepared 4 belts here. Generally speaking, for declone, you'll use Verdungos. For Lucian, you'll use Thunder Gods. 8 max lightning for Lucian, it makes sense. You want 90 max lightning. 15 PDR for declone, it makes sense. You want high PDR. You want 50 PDR, and it gives a lot of vitality. So both these belts kind of make sense. For Rathma, you have 2 options. You either take a Snow Clash for that max cold and cold resistance. Really nice option. Or you take a belt that has 2 max and poison length reduction with a lot of life and a lot of stats. These are the 2 options that you'd normally go for. Getting PLR from the belt and a lot of life is really important. Getting that like max cold resistance, the cold res, sometimes the half freeze also matters, is also really nice on the Snow Clash. Both are okay. Of course, if you can get a 2 max all res Snow Clash, that's an amazing option. It's really strong for Rathma. So that's kind of like what's up for belts. Let me put this belt on for now, just as we're giving examples. Now let's talk about gloves. And for gloves, generally speaking, you'll normally want gloves that give IAS, because you'll be missing attack speed unless you're running Andes and like a High Lords and your attack speed is fine. So normally you'll be running something that gives attack speed. Now I had to run these gloves. They're like crafted attack speed gloves, brilliant crafted gloves. The reason is I needed at least 25 IS or 22 IS to reach my breakpoint on my setups. As you can see, this weapon specifically, Balrog Blade, requires this much IS, so I had to use slightly more than 20, right? You see, this is not enough. But for most people, things like Laying of Hands, Ghoul Hides, Lava Gouts, all these gloves that you can normally find everywhere for pretty cheap. Normally these will be enough. If you don't need more attack speed, maybe you're using Doombringer, for example, right? If you are using Doombringer, something like this, like Soul Drainers can be great. Ghoul Hides still are a great option. Of course, this is not socketed, so it would have more IS by itself, but something like Ghoul Hides or Soul Drainers can be really strong as well. Let me go back to the setup that we're slowly building here. And let's move to the next slot, which is the boots. Boots, there's generally 2 options that I recommend. You either use Water Walks or use Gore Riders. Use Gores if you want to be more aggressive. Generally speaking, I recommend Water Walks for everything. Water Walks give you 15 dexterity, give you a lot of flat life, and give you 5 max fire, which is good both for Rathma and for declone. For Lucian, it's not important to have max fire, but it's very nice to have all that flat life and dexterity. So I really recommend Water Walks for everything. So generally, always water walks. Second option, gores, if you want to be a little bit more aggressive. Usually slammed with either max, fire, lightning, poison, or cold, whatever fight you're doing at that point in time. You know, fire for Declone, lightning for Lucian, cold or poison for Raphma. That's the normal slams that you're looking for. Alright, so we got our boots, we got our gloves. Now let's talk about jewelry. And I prepared a bunch of rings and amulets. And I have one slot missing for the amulets, and I'll show what it is in a moment. So the normal amulet you'll see people use with this build is High Lord's Wrath. Sadly, I couldn't find one on this account. No matter how much I play, I can't find the High Lords for some reason. We have like, I feel like 171 hours or something. Yeah. Of playing. I kept searching after finishing my challenge. I can't find the High Lords. I don't know why. But High Lords is a very common option for this build because it gives 20 attack speed. It's not for the deadly strike, guys. Don't get it twisted. The reason people use High Lords, the reason people should use High Lords is the attack speed. It's super valuable. If you don't need the attack speed, here are great options. You got Seraph's Hymn, amazing option, super high damage, plus skills, bonus attack rating, and damage to demons and undead. Amazing for Declone. It's okay for other fights as well for like Lucian because of the 2 skills. So this is a great amulet. It's very, very nice, especially with enhanced damage slams. The downside is it doesn't give you any resistances. It doesn't give you a lot of other utility outside of the damage, which can be very nice. But still a very nice amulet nonetheless. Another amulet very similar to this one is Mara's Kaleidoscope. It comes with a ton of resistances and gives you attributes as well. So both of these are pretty similar. Seraph's and Mara's both are used pretty well, and they synergize with your Gladiator's Bane if you are using one. These 2 amulets are great. And for the third amulet, this is more of a Raphma amulet. This is what your Raphma amulet should look like. Paladin skills, all resistances, and getting poison link reduction. The other thing that's missing here is 2 max resistances slam. Let me just show it in my stash. I have an example of what that looks like. This is the slam that you want on your amulet. The reason is just a lot of value for the Raphma fight because you want max poison, fire, and cold. So that's the kind of slam you want on this kind of base. Sadly, I don't have one to show that is like that. But that's the thing that we used for something like Declone and Mara's, High Lords. These are normally the amulets that you will be using. Alright, so we got an amulet. Let's talk about rings. And I prepared 5 rings that you want to kind of be familiar with for your bossing with Physical Charger. For Declone, something like a Dwarf Star, slammed with either PDR or attack rating. Dwarf Stars are great for Declone. They're just super good. The Fire Absorb is great, and they give a lot of flat life as well. Magic damage reduction. Slams like PDR or attack rating are your favorite slams. Other rings you want to know are BK Deathband. So this ring is an amazing ring. It gained a lot of popularity in kind of Season 11, but it was always very strong. And it gives you 6 to 8 physical damage reduction. It gives you attack rating. It gives you physical enhanced damage. Some lightning resistance. So every stat on it is not wasted. It's just an amazing ring all around. Tons of value in one small ring. And you can use that one, for example. If you are missing some not attack rating, sorry. If you are missing some max resistances, Nature's Peace is a great solution. Just like a bunch of max resistances on your ring, so a really great option. And in Raphma, it's almost a must-have. It's just so good in Raphma that it's like almost unskippable, unless you have just really good other rings. Another ring you want to be familiar with for the Lucian fight is the Wisp Projector. It gives you up to 6% lightning absorb, which is the main type of damage in the Lucian fight. So a great ring to be kind of familiar with. And lastly, the ring that you want to know is the PLR ring, Poison Length Reduction ring. You'll be using this alongside things like Nature's Peace in the Raphma fight in order to get your Poison Length Reduction all the way down to 25. So this is a great option, but you can have like just normal ones, which I believe I have here. These are ones you can just find, like rare ones. You can also craft ones that have even more than 25 PLR, like this one. And it's a little expensive because it costs skulls, but you know, it's worth it. So that's how you kind of make your setup. On the swap, you'll always have a CTA and a lidless. or you can have a Zakarum in the lidless. The main thing that's important is you have a CTA in order to buoy yourself, and that's how you build your gear for your physical charger. So a little bit, a little bit complicated. We talked about every piece of gear separately, so you can kind of know what you need for every fight. But after doing all of this, you'll generally have your setup kind of like ready. You can see that I'm like almost ready to fight Declone, for example. But we're missing our charms. So let's talk a little bit about charms. And let me just kind of make like a little bit of a unmessify this mess over here. So wait, I think this came from my... No, it did not. This can go here. This can go here. Let's move this here. Just moving a ton of stuff around. Okay. Oof. This can go here. And Saros can go here. Okay, so we cleared up all of our place for charms, and outside of a torch and then the Nihilus, which is pretty obvious that you want to have. Normally a 2-skill Nihilus or a high vitality Nihilus is better than all res for this build, but that's what I have here. So outside of having these two, what else do you want on this build? So I prepped kind of like a charm inventory to kind of show what are you using on this kind of build. And as you can see, our resistances are pretty low, so we will need a ton of resistances in our charm inventory. This kind of gear doesn't give a lot of resistances outside of this Mara's. So the place you get it is normally your charms. So you can start by just like filling out your charms with things like this, all res and a lot of life, or just small charms that give you resistances. Yeah, even GCs to give you resistances in life, right? You can see already this is starting to look a little bit more fixed. Okay, cold looks a little bit better now. All res. And you want to make sure you take stuff with high life, because as you can see, our life total is still pretty low. So as much as you can, like, try to find stuff that have life on them. Even if it's single res with life, like, it may look a little bit unimportant at the start, but it's really important to get it. And now you can see our res is like 90 for declone. That's what you want. Capped for these two, and like almost enough poison res to be capped, which is very nice, which means our resistances are good. Now we want to focus on getting our attack rating up. And as you can see, our attack rating, and let me make sure that I bow myself properly, kind of demonstrate our attack rating. So you can see our attack rating is a little low. Generally, you want your attack rating to be around 10k if you can help it, and you want your life to be around 3k if you can help it. So as you can see, we're a little far from that at the moment. We're at 2300. Obviously, I have more stat points than I need in strength and dexterity, just for the sake of demonstration. But we'll keep adding these little charms and these big charms as well. And these kind of charms are like attack rating life charms, or max damage attack rating life charms. I don't really like the max damage ones. I think attack rating and life is a little bit better. And you can get away with just using small ones as well. Small ones are super valuable. They're just more annoying to collect. Even large charms like this can be really nice. So don't disqualify a charm normally you wouldn't keep. Just yeah, just add them all up. And I don't know why I'm missing one charm. Maybe I can grab one from here. Yeah, let's grab this. And as you can see, my resistances are fine now. If I go outside, my attack rating is all the way at 12k, which is really nice. And my life total, it's a little bit low, but it would be higher if I didn't use more attributes than I needed. I think I'm over in attributes by like 40 strength and how much dexterity? Like 70. So let me respec one more time. I think I have another respec. Yeah, let's do this one more time just to show. We want to have 148 for this and 64 for this. So let's do it like this and put the rest over here. As you can see, we're at 3K now. And let's level up our stuff. I'll do like a declone setup so people can kind of see a declone setup on this. This will be maxed. Combat skills, we max this as we said. So as you can see, we max Fanat, and I'll dump the rest into Might. So we got 90 max fire. Our resistances are mostly capped. Poison not being capped in declone is really not a big deal. We got our Fanaticism aura, and we have Charge as our main skill. And you can see our attack rating is pretty good. It did go down a little bit because I removed some dexterity points. You can up it even more with better charms. But we are around 10k, which is good enough. Our damage is great, and yeah, that's overall our setup. So now you know how to build yourself a Charge Paladin. Mercenaries are of course not important for bossing, so I'm not going to go over mercenaries. But this is how you build from zero a Charge Paladin with options for gear, for different builds, for different fights, and just in general what you can do. Hopefully this was useful to you if you want to boss in the next season or in this one as a Charge Paladin. I think this is one of the easier builds to kind of go into bossing with. It's incredibly safe due to the parry from Holy Sword. It is fairly nice to kind of get the idea of, and it's I think it's fairly intuitive. I'm not going to put any examples here, but in the last few days I uploaded my kills for tier 2 clone, Raphma, and Lucian with this build, with these weapons, with this gear. Again, some of it is pretty good, like the weapon is pretty amazing, but the rest is pretty average or achievable in a normal season because it's like, you know, just stuff that I found by myself in 2 weeks. So I believe in you, you can do it too. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them below. I'm gonna close the video here. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next stream or in the next video. Until the next time, have a good whatever you're having. Bye bye bye.